Just because you have a lot of money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're good with money. Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we are uncovering one of Colorado's largest estates, an estate that was built through the Great Depression. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Born in North Carolina in 1882, Frank Kistler spent much of his youth farming. As a young man, he went to work for Texaco, learning the ropes of the oil trade. But by 1917, he felt confident enough to strike out on his own and launch Producers and Refiners Corporation, more commonly known as Parco. Within just a few years, he was riding high on financial success, with his business valued at $50 million, the modern equivalent of nearly $1 billion today. Seeking a fresh venture to match his business triumphs, in 1926 Kistler purchased what was then called Highlands Ranch to the south of Denver, Colorado. The property had originally started as a small stone house that grew over time with each subsequent owner. But what Kistler had planned for the property was a complete overhaul. He would transform it into one of the most complete estates the American West had ever known. Renaming it the Diamond K Ranch, he dove headfirst into ranching, hiring staff to manage an assortment of affairs on the property. As you pulled in through the main gate, you might be wondering if there's anything more to the estate than a few shacks and dirt roads. But as you continue down that dusty trail, you spot herds of cattle off in the distance, and as we reach the other side of the gently rolling hills, sheep are spotted grazing. As we pass by the pastures, we begin to see large barns and stables dotting the landscape. Inside you might find some of Kistler's prized horses ready to be paraded about. Unlike the Gilded Age estates of the East Coast, Kistler took a more practical approach to a self-sustaining farm. His buildings, ranging from hay barns to a dairy, were far from pretentious, favoring function over form. Even the pond was left without the mark of a landscape architect, maintaining the natural landscape, and the windmill was made to be as unobtrusive to the plains as possible. Even the various shops around the property were meant to be easily maintained and kept severely plain, though places like the blacksmith functioned just as well regardless of aesthetics. His workers' cottages were all lined up in neat rows, once again completely unassuming. But we didn't come here to see their homes, we came to see the manor house. Pulling through the gate, we begin to see the details for the first time since arriving. In 1929, Kistler expanded the mansion, nearly doubling the size of the original house. It was subsequently refaced to create a cohesive facade while remaining sensitive to the previous iterations of the home. In stark contrast to his bare-bones ranch, the home was professionally landscaped with balustrade-lined terraces cascading from the house. As we begin walking around it, we can get a really good look at the addition with its Tudor Revival facade. Though curiously, there are brief moments of arts and crafts intrigue scattered about, including the composition of this porch. Let's begin making our way back towards the tower, following the terraces upward. Once we get to the top, the balustrade wraps around to direct our eye towards the tower. We can now make our way up to the front door and begin exploring the incredible interiors. But before we do, we can turn around to see the view of the snow-capped mountains off in the distance. Stepping inside, we are greeted by a roaring fire to warm us up from the chilly weather just outside the door. The entry really sets the tone for the house, with intricate carvings found both on the fireplace's mantel and along the crown molding. Let's step down to the sunken living room just through the pointed archway. The living room was everything you might expect in a house of this caliber, with a grand piano and a tufted sofa taking second stage to the oversized fireplace. We can actually take a closer look at the sandstone mantel to find relief work depicting the ranch's logo. And if we remove all the furniture from the room, we can get a really good look at the herringbone wood floors. Let's continue around to the dining room, where we find it staged as it would be on any given day in the house. When Kistler was entertaining, leaves could be placed on the table and chairs could be brought out of storage to seat 16 guests. From here we'll continue our tour over to the library, where we find a rather unique construction method in the wood paneling. What almost appears as bows on the wall is a type of wood joint meant to conceal any nails from view, giving the illusion that each board has been fit together like puzzle pieces. Though not all the rooms were quite as large, the card room was more comfortably scaled for game nights, and for as grand as some of these rooms have been, the largest on the first floor is undoubtedly the solarium, which was also known as the lounge. This room served as the main entertaining space in the house, where balls and banquets could play out over its terrazzo floors. When we think of Roaring Twenties, just before the market crash, this was the height of style. Unfortunately, in the same year he kicked off these major renovations, the stock market collapsed. Like so many others, he lost millions, and his financial troubles pushed him to sell the Diamond K Ranch in 1937. Determined to start anew, he and his family moved to Glenwood Springs, where he took over the historic Hotel Colorado, continuing his legacy of bold, entrepreneurial ventures, living well within his means for the rest of his life. As for the mansion, it went on to evolve yet again under new hands. In time, the property and surrounding lands took on the name Highlands Ranch, ultimately growing into a master-planned community. By 2010, the Highlands Ranch Metro District became the new owner, ensuring that the historic mansion remains open to the public year-round. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about Highlands Ranch? Did anything about the property stick out to you? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.